Okay, so this week in Module 9, let me go ahead and just pull up the learning objectives and tasks. Um, we are looking a little bit again at the world around us. So the whole idea is macro photography. Some of you guys might have a macro lens, and if you do, this is a great time to use it. Those are designed to kind of get up close and personal to things. Again, you don't have to use it. If you don't have one, the regular lens, you just work with what you got. You're not going to get those really up close pictures of bugs that you'll see sometimes on the internet. Your lens isn't going to pick up that much detail, but you can certainly look at details of the world around you. I'll show you a couple examples of images that, again, not taken with a special lens, just regular pictures. And then you're going to take those images and you're going to compile them into a picture book in Photoshop. And it'll be 11 files total. You have 5 sets of a kind of a question and an answer. The idea is that, these detailed pictures kind of lend themselves to be like, hey, what's going on? What's the answer? And so that is an exciting project. It is a little bit more time intensive than some of the editing we've been doing, so just be aware of that. I will say the first setup is kind of the most time intensive because you can kind of make substitutions as you go throughout the project. You can see on the to-do list there is a quiz this week, chapter 12. And it does go over macro photography. He gets pretty technical with some of that stuff. There are a couple of videos, just short. Then I have the Photoshop book instructions, your assignment, and then the discussion. So the Module 9 discussion, I think, helps personally with your project. You're supposed to look at a children's book, and it might be one you already have lying around, and you're going to tell us a little bit about how the actual book is designed. That might be a good thing to start to do before you do your project. Certainly, you can do your project before that, but it helps me think about design. If I go back to that main module page, here we go. You'll see again the general format of this week, and let's go ahead and just talk about a couple things before we get to that. The examples I was going to show you. So again, that assignment, it's you're trying to figure out what your pictures are of. They're details. They're up close shots. I usually use my aperture setting, my aperture priority mode. Some of you guys, you can also use the automatic function that has a little bit of like a little flower on it. That also helps you get kind of up close pictures as well. So just play around with those settings. Again, each page is going to be a different file, so you end up submitting 11 files by the end of it. You will need 5 macro photographs, and you can do more pages than 5 if you want to. I mean, if you're really into this and you want to do 10 sets, do 10 sets. When you take your pictures, and hopefully I explained this well enough on that front page, you don't have, you can use the macro picture on the what am I question and the answer question. Or you can also say, okay, use a macro picture on your what am I page and then take a zoomed out picture for the answer page so the kid can see what the answer is, like kind of zoom out from it. So that kind of, approach is up to you. You definitely need those zoom in macro pictures though. So on the assignment sheet, you can see I've done a lot of sample images. This is one where, again, I get really into the rhyming. I've said this before. If I wasn't an art major, I would have been an English major. You don't have to rhyme, but I just like doing it. This particular one uses the tree bark, and you can see how on the question page, the what am I, and the back page, I've used the same picture. I didn't change it up. I'll go ahead and show you a couple of other examples. If we can, we're getting quite a few things in our class here. So this is the demo piece that I did, where this is my question: what pretty color is such a sight to see? What on earth could this possibly be? And then on my answer page, it's a rock from the rock house staring at me. This is, again, I used a different picture. I mean, it's not a different picture. The one before was a zoomed in version of this image. But if it were me, instead of trying to crop a bigger image, I would just take two pictures. I would take your macro one and then step back and take an actual image of the main object you're trying to use, because then you're not going to run into issues with your image being pixelated. And another example, this, you do need a cover page. It has to have your name, the title, and the year you made it. All of these I've been putting together using the same basic formatting with your picture, your rectangle tool, your text tool, and sometimes your paint bucket tool. And I've gone over all of those in those directions. So you can see, again, I just use shots from within the book to put them on the main page. And I have a couple of student examples. So you can see this one is pretty simple in terms of the design choices that were made, but this student did go ahead and use the tool to feather the edges of their picture. And then you can see this particular student was very much into illustration, and so they actually they drew this character. I believe they drew the magnifying glass. This person had a history with illustration, and so it was really impressive to see how that came together in this piece. And then, of course, they have the picture in the background. Last thing I'll show you really quickly before I let you go is, and you can see, I know I can flip like with the arrows at the bottom of my page for navigation, but this is just how I always end up navigating through my modules. This file entitled Book Directions. So I went ahead, you guys have a couple of videos up that summarizes this, but if you prefer written directions, or if it is easier for you to see, I made a document step by step how to put this book together, and I believe it's fairly clear. If there are issues that you have, again, let me know. I'm working on trying to make these projects into a digital format. I've done these in the past before. This is just, again, transforming them into a different learning experience. So the reason this is 17 pages long is because there are screenshots, and I wanted to make them sizable so that you could actually see the screenshots, because otherwise it's really hard to see what's going on. So follow along with that. And then if you, if that isn't helpful or you prefer the videos, I did go ahead and make a couple videos that, again, are step-by-step. So I know there's a bit of work to do this week, but again, these turn out really well. And part of digital photography, I think it's important to learn how to put some of these together. You can go to like Walgreens.com and you can make photo book collages, but this way you get to do your own. This is what you get to, and you get some more control over it. So it's definitely an important part in terms of the digital world that we live in.